If you are fertilizing your lawn the wrong way, you are wasting money and you are even possibly ruining the lawn without even knowing it. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now in this video, I am going to show you how I properly fertilize my lawn using both granular as well as liquid fertilizers. So I will be breaking down when to fertilize, the benefits of fertilizing, and something that a lot of people misunderstand from time to time. That is the difference between fertilizer and manure slash compost. So fertilizing is all about feeding your lawn with the nutrients that they need to grow strong, thick, and healthy. The three nutrients you will hear about all the time are nitrogen, which promotes growth and it gives a greener color to the lawn as well, and phosphorus, that's very vital for root development, and potassium for the overall strength and stress resistance of the lawn. So if your lawn isn't getting enough of these three nutrients, it won't matter how often you mow or water the lawn. It just won't perform at its best. For warm season grasses like Bermuda and Zoysia, you want to fertilize when the grass is actively growing. So that is usually in the warmer months. You want to avoid watering when the grass is dormant or when there is extreme heat stress on the lawn. By fertilizing in those periods, you're basically wasting the fertilizer. So it's also very important that if granular fertilizer is applied, the lawn or the fertilizer is applied before rainfall, or if there is no rainfall, the lawn should be watered after the application of granular fertilizer, because the fertilizer will only be dissolved and enter the soil through watering. So let us start with the granular fertilizer, as this is probably the most common method that most people are used to. So with the granular fertilizer, it's very easy to apply using a spreader. So spreaders would come in different styles. So it all depends on the size of the lawn. If the lawn is huge, it might require a different type of spreader than if your lawn is quite small. So granular fertilizer provides slower and more controlled release of nutrients into the soil. So the nutrients are released at a much slower rate than it would with the liquid fertilizer. And it is great for building consistent feeding program. So I try to apply granular fertilizers every 6 to 8 weeks. That is just the program that I follow, and it tends to work for me. So you could, maybe depending on where you are from, you could also develop your own personal feeding program using the granular fertilizer. So one of the key things when applying granular fertilizer is even distribution, because uneven distributions could lead to sections of the lawn looking brown while other sections are looking green. Also, it could even result in burning of the lawn in certain areas. So it is important that all the sections of the lawn be evenly fertilized. You don't want to be putting heavy application in certain areas and light or no application in other areas, because that could result in the lawn being burned. Personally, when I am applying granular fertilizer, I try to apply in two different directions, normally up and down and then horizontal. That way I'm almost guaranteed that I will not miss out any area. Now when it comes to liquid fertilizer, this works slightly differently. So the liquid fertilizer, it is absorbed by the grass at a much faster rate. So just a few hours after application, you could visibly see that difference in the appearance of the lawn. So in turn, it's called quick release fertilizer. So whenever you're applying liquid fertilizers, you are pretty much applying a quick release fertilizer, and you should expect to see results within a matter of hours or at most one day. So most serious lawn care programs would use a combination of granular and liquid fertilizers. And that is basically what I use as well. I try to apply liquid fertilizers like every 2 weeks. And as I said before, I try to apply granular fertilizers every 6 to 8 weeks. So the question you might want to ask, which one is best? Well, it all depends on your needs. So if you need a quick release of nutrients into the soil, like if, for example, the lawn needs a quick boost, then liquid fertilizer would be the way to go. However, if you want the lawn to be fed over a longer period of time, then the granular fertilizer is the one for you. So my advice would be to use a combination of both. You can choose the time periods in which you want to apply them or the intervals between applications. As I said, I apply liquids every 2 weeks, and I strive to apply granular fertilizers every 6 to 8 weeks. Now, because I am located in a tropical region, I am not affected by my lawns being dormant. So I have the liberty of applying fertilizer almost at any point during the year. Now let me look at the comparison between fertilizers and compost or manure, because a lot of people are confused as to the differences or the main difference between the two. So when you fertilize your lawn, you are basically fertilizing the plant itself. However, when you apply manure or compost, you are feeding the soil. Now, it is important that the soil be fed from time to time, not just the lawn itself, because the application of manure will serve to improve the structure of the soil, and the soil will in turn be able to retain moisture for a longer period of time. And it will also make it easier for the roots of the plants to spread and be able to reach the nutrients that are in the soil. Think of it this way: fertilizing feeds the grass, and compost or manure feeds the soil. So a healthy lawn will pretty much benefit from both fertilizer and manure. So when fertilizing is done properly, there are a number of benefits that can be had. So the fertilizer does promote thicker, denser turf. So proper application of fertilizers will result in a thicker, denser lawn. It improves the color and the overall appearance of the lawn. So a lawn that is properly fertilized will more than likely look better than the lawn that is not properly fertilized. Fertilizer also helps the lawn to recover from damages. So in my last video, I scarified my Bermuda lawn. Now because the lawn is used to being fertilized, it will naturally recover at a much faster rate than a lawn that is not normally fertilized. Also, when the lawn is fertilized, because it grows thicker and denser, that will also suppress the weeds. So a lawn that is properly maintained, including a good fertilization program, will not normally be infested with a lot of weeds. So some very important tips to follow when applying fertilizers. First and foremost, you want to ensure you follow the recommended rate of application. One thing about fertilizers, more is not necessarily better. So it's best to apply at a lesser rate than the recommended rate, and maybe apply it more frequently than to apply more than the recommended rate. So that is something to be borne in mind. Also, after applying granular fertilizer, it is very important that the fertilizer be watered in, because unless the fertilizer dissolves, it will never get into the soil. And unless it gets into the soil, the plants won't be able to benefit from them. So that is also one very important tip. So when I'm applying liquid fertilizer, I use my hose end sprayer. Now, it all depends on the type of liquid fertilizers. The one that I am using is a granule, but it's dissolved when it's placed in the water. So the hose end sprayer helps to apply evenly over the lawn. So I am giving the lawn a combination of granular as well as liquid fertilizer. The liquid fertilizer will give it a quick boost, while the granular will be released into the lawn over a longer period of time. So this is where I will wrap this video up. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I will see you again in the next video.